Live your life to the fullest. This is Now Tell Us. I'm your host, Anthony Moirori. At Now Tell Us, we have guests come and tell us stories. They come and inspire us. They come and educate us on a subject. And always we have great guests. And surprise, surprise. Today we have a very great guest. Actually, a very special guest. I know that you're going to love this episode because we have the president of the Napoleon Hill Institute. Now, what a better guest could we ever have? Her name is known as Adora Crystal Evans. And she's going to be here briefly, in a short while. Not briefly, she's going to be here for as much as we can hold her here. And she's quite a busy person, so it's quite an honor for us to be having her on this episode. Now, please share this episode with all your friends. If you have a question, ask. We love answering questions. If you have got feedback about this podcast, we love feedback and we thank you in advance. And now, because I know that Adora has a lot to tell us, why don't you join me as we go together to meet her? Here we go. Hi, Adora.
Hi, Anthony. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. Excellent. Such a privilege to get to witness you and to be here with you. I think we were talking a little before the show about your 2 to 3 to 4 years of super consistency. I can't remember how many years it's been now since we first met, but it's really refreshing to see you committed to the world, to the elevation of humanity, and to showing up regularly for that. And so many people start a dream of helping or vision, but they quit before it actually comes to fruition, and that's not you. So thank you for having me.
Wow, wow. I'm really humbled by those words. Thank you very much, Adora. And it's quite an honor to have you here. I've also been following you from the first time that we got connected, and I feel privileged that I'm hosting you here on my podcast today. So thank you very much for coming.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I said you're the president of the Napoleon Hill Institute. That's not such a small institute. That's a big institute. For those people who may not know who Napoleon Hill was, you may have heard of the famous book Think and Grow Rich. And Napoleon Hill is one who's done quite a great deal of a great good to humanity. And now Adora and the team are carrying forward the vision, the dream that he had, and they're doing quite a wonderful job. Thank you very much, Adora.
No, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, would you please maybe tell us a little bit more about yourself? Maybe
Sure.
growing up and how you came to this place that we find ourselves today.
Yeah, a little growing up. Okay, thanks for that guidance. You know, when someone says, say something about yourself, so many things come up,
Yeah.
especially at this age. So, uh, yeah, I grew up in the South here in Texas. Great to see you, Anshu, and hello back to you. So, I grew up in Texas and have a lot of Southern roots. And to explain what that means that Texas is really known for cowboys and farms and
Mm.
all, even though we are much more than that. And my 12-year-old, about when she was about 10, said, Mom, I hate that people think of cowboys in Texas and I've never seen a real one. I fixed that for her. But,
Mhm.
but personally, I did, grow up on and off an Air Force base and then spent my summers at my grandmother's farm. So I did see all of it, the chickens, the cows, the peacocks, and have I really do have quite a blend of city experience versus country. I'm the eldest of 7. I lived on my own at 12 for a little bit. And then again at 15, I started living with friends and experienced a lot of life before the age of 18.
Mm-hmm.
18, I met Jim Rohn on a Walkman radio with a cassette tape. I was living in a boarded up home with no electricity. And instead of paying for my electricity, I invested in a business opportunity. And at 18, in that boarded up home, listening to Jim Rohn, I got really sold on I could shift my path through spending time with mentors. And if I couldn't find mentors, the library was full of them. Right after that, I met Tony Robbins on a Walkman radio as well. And I got sold on constant and never ending improvement. So I read 85 books that year alone and listened to hundreds of hours of audio programs. And I immediately, because I took action, Anthony, I immediately began to feel the difference that this internal work would make when I applied the thoughts in action. And even though it wasn't all straight up like I imagined, it would all be like, boom, straight up. It was more like the stock market, on the rise.
Yeah.
I later, probably 2 or 3 years later, found Napoleon Hill, because in the back of all of those books back then, they would list their favorite books, and Think and Grow Rich was in every list in every book. And so I read Think and Grow Rich at a breakdown moment. It was one of those moments other people may know where you have these high expectations for yourself, and yet something is showing you're not meeting the measure. And I was feeling alone, unsure, and I was definitely at enough is enough. Like, that's it. I'm not gonna take it. I'm not gonna do life this way anymore. And it was in that important moment. And I say important moment because everybody's had that moment, whether it's with your diet, it's in a relationship, it's in a job, it's in a business, it's in a way of thinking where you went, I am so fed up. Enough is enough. And it usually comes from some negative emotions stacking up, right? And often that doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. But there's this moment that is absolutely magical where when you really get to that point of enough is enough, and then you open, it's a high point of leverage where either you reach for something that is going to be finally getting your body right, finally writing the book, finally going for the business, leaving the relationship, or getting into a dating site, or investing in a mentor. It's a moment where you've got enough anger, fed upness, disgustedness with either reaching and taking action on the thing that will absolutely shift your legacy forever and the legacy of your family, or you'll think about and kind of lick your wounds and tell other people and feel depressed and eat ice cream. And you may still eat ice cream, okay, in that wake up moment. But and what happens is, in those beautiful moments, we either reach for something that shifts our lives forever and take action on it, or you circle the drain, I call it, and feel sorry for yourself and tell yourself I'm going to do something, and then the moment passes.
Mm.
Right. And you get distracted. A great TV show comes on, a friend
Mm.
hugs you, you realize life isn't that sucky, you know, and
Mm.
something happens there. I'm camping out here for a reason. I don't know why. Maybe someone is having that moment, or maybe you haven't realized it, or maybe you coach someone and you're not realizing how important those breakdown moments are. There's a
Mm.
breakdown moment, and there's an energy right after that you either grab and you use it to run to the calling that's
Yeah.
calling you, the new standard, or you use it to affirm that you suck and life sucks and people suck, and or I'll do it tomorrow, next time, but you have a choice.
Mm.
And so in that moment of breakdown for me, and it was a major breakdown, major. I was not winning as a mom, as a career person, as a visionary, as a network marketer. I was not winning as a friend. I was having a really tough moment. I was probably 23. I'm 45 now. I know I
Mm.
look so young, but
Yeah.
just
You're
kidding.
you're looking young.
Come on, I'm praying that in all the time. It's in my self affirmations. I get more beautiful and healthy every day. Hi,
Mm-hmm.
beautiful Carlene. And so when you have those moments, you get to choose what it is for you,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I chose in that moment. I read Think and Grow Rich, and I signed up for Landmark Education. And I wrote down, as I was reading Think and Grow Rich, I let myself be wild in my thinking and imagine anything was possible. And this
Mm.
is another point here is, and we can come back to this, but let's remember to come back how to let ourselves imagine freely, okay?
Yeah.
Because even the smartest, most goal-oriented people often get a little constricted in that area. And this desire and the ability to freely desire without limitation is major in being able to break through to living our lives to the fullest. It
Mm-hmm.
really is.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, back to this story. So, there I am, and I write down, I'm looking at Napoleon Hill, and I'm going, dang, this guy, he interviewed all these successful people. And at that time, it was only men, right? But we've learned since then he was reading about women as well and reading different women leaders. But I thought that seemed to really work out for him. I
Mm-hmm.
think it would be really cool to get to interview these thought leaders, like these successful people. But I want to be paid for it. He did it for free. I want to be paid for it. And I wrote that down in a whole bunch of other things, everything from like living on the beach to, how I would feel, how much money I would make. I really just filled up this thing. And so
Yeah.
that was interesting too, because some people think you got to have just the perfect focus. And hi, Joyce. And we're doing a Napoleon Hill mastermind cruise. And she's the woman who really put that together for us. She is the queen when it comes to organizing events, and got us with the perfect cruise line. She's just got a great travel company. But so I wrote that down, and Anthony, someone I knew, no one knew I'd written this down. Nobody knew I was in this desperate, I'm done with what I've been and I'm ready for this major leap.
Mm-hmm.
But he called and he said, there's a job that I had in my 20s and it gave me an incredible skill set. They're hiring. I think you'd be really great. I can get you the interview, but you're going to have to pass all the psychology tests and win it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what you need to know is I've been working in a nightclub, just before. And so I go and I get really boxy suits as plain, I go to Ann Taylor. I try to look older. I put my makeup on to look older and very mature. And I got the job.
Mm-hmm.
And the job was as a producer on the Discovery Channel for Pat Summerall. And what I had to do was interview successful people all day, uh, and see if they were qualified. So they were all revenuing more than 10 million a year, which I could barely imagine at that time. Now I
Mm-hmm.
know it's doing really good, but it's kind of scratching the surface of
Yeah.
wealthy right here, right? And I wasn't even done. I wasn't even done with the book,
Mm-hmm.
Anthony,
Mm-hmm.
and I was already living what the book said, which, that book has been responsible for, I mean, Oprah, Bruce Lee, all these different people, Tony Robbins refer to Napoleon Hill and Think and Grow Rich, but I got really sold,
Mm-hmm.
and it opened the rest of my career and the rest of the things that I got to do. I got to help Christine. She's the executive producer of Destination Divas and Dining Divas. So, and I'm a host on her show. So great to see you here, Christine. So, anyway, it opened up everything and really set my path. And it's still very core. And I had no clue that it would land me here where we are now. I mean, I've done a lot with the Napoleon Hill Foundation over the past 20 years. I believe in the work. It's foundational to every success, just about every success teacher. It's a core book in their library or a core teacher.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a total, privilege to get to serve with the visionary leaders at both the Napoleon Hill Institute, the Napoleon Hill Foundation, and now what we've got going with Russell Brunson as well. So, is that what you were looking for, Anthony?
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Okay,
And
good,
you actually added much more than even what I asked for, and this is very kind of you. Now, and it's
It's
interesting.
kind or it's an over talker. Well, you let me know later, okay, Anthony?
Now, this is now tell us. You're tuned to now tell us. So once you're here, you can tell us anything that you feel like telling us. That is especially going to be inspiring to someone who's listening. Because for the time that we have been connected with you, as you say, I've always followed you, and every time that I see a post that you do, I'm inspired more than I was yesterday. And talking of the way that you've come up to this point, isn't it interesting how one thing leads to another, and then to another, and then to another, and then to another? How do you define that connectivity that takes you from one step to the next, rising every single day? How do you define that?
Adventure, mystery, magic, God
All
working.
together.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, I love and live in the connectivity and the synchronicity. And one of the core driving things in my life is, so I didn't discuss it. 15, I had a spiritual awakening where I
Mm,
realized that there was a God, and that higher intelligence, different people have different names for it, but for me, I was definitely feeling lost as a girl, and to suddenly realize there was a father, a protector, a mother, something that was totally caring for me, and
mm,
everything about me
mhm,
was, it was not only important, it was necessary for my survival and well-being and mental and emotional picturing. And it is still the core filter that I filter everything in life, is this knowing that there is a higher calling and a higher connection, and that's not just for me, that's for everyone. So that's what's so cool about then when you choose a definite purpose, or you have a vision for yourself, which everything from the Bible, without a vision, the people perish, to Napoleon Hill, to leaders. Every great book often starts, well, what's your vision? I heard a speaker once use this analogy so well in that show Alice, or the movie Alice in Wonderland,
mhm,
when the cat is sitting there and asks Alice which way, where is she going? She's
Mm.
looking for directions, and he's basically saying, well, where do you want to end up? And she's like, I don't really know or care, pretty much. I'm paraphrasing all this. And he says, well, then it doesn't matter where you go, just you'll end up where you end up. So when you have a vision and you choose powerfully a vision, and there's a way to do that. I love, choosing from, I think it's important to find out who you are and to know what you're authentically aligned with, and that's a whole discovery in itself, right? Who am I? What am I here for? What do I want? What do I love? And you don't get there without just choosing and taking action and following curiosity. But my point is that when you have a powerful vision and you choose, then all those pieces are connecting and leading to the unfolding of that beautiful adventure, following the inklings, taking actions, meeting people, and everything will occur as a gift or a clue or and maybe not in the moment, right? But then you realize even your breakdowns were part of your breakthrough to get to, or they were building a muscle for you to make you stronger and more capable and ready, or more empathetic, or more understanding, or to know yourself better, to realize, I want nothing to do with that, and I'm all about this, right? It's all working out for you and through you. And for me, that's my favorite part, is noticing how it's all connected. Arthur,
Mm.
I'm glad that's encouraging, because it's the truth. And we always see it looking backwards, like when you're, especially in the moment where you're fulfilling something, when you finally arrive at one of the places you imagined, whether it's people thanking you for their work, or it's someone, for your work, or you're finally in that relationship or the home, or you've hit that income goal. In those moments where you're seeing a dream realized, you look back and go, it was all working for me. I'm so glad all that happened, right? In the in between, you may look back and go, "What the? I'm not sure about this," right?
Yeah,
But
and I
when you,
agree with you. It's one thing to choose a destination, one thing to have a vision and go after your vision. And once you get started, you're going to find obstacles, the challenges coming against you, and you can almost every single day give up on it. But I love the fact that you mentioned that we can only know so much, we can only do so much. But it's only when we release ourselves to that higher power that is above us, once we surrender our vision, we surrender our dream to that higher power that is watching over us, our Father. uh, it's only then that we can be assured that we are going to get there despite the challenges and the obstacles that we meet along the way. Stay committed on the path and release yourself to the higher power to make it complete.
Mm. Well, I need to jump in, because I agree with that half half.
Ah,
So
go
for
ahead.
me, So for me, that is the truth. I
Yeah.
must release to this higher power. It's how I'm happiest. It's
Mhm.
how it's the most magical. It's how it's the most authentic and congruent and aligned. It's when I feel the most peace
Yeah.
and pampering. But there are people who do not believe in God, who
Yeah.
do not release their vision, but they set the law. They work with the laws of success. They work with a vision. They
Hmm.
work the principles, and they still hit star athlete or musician or great business, or so I don't know that you must surrender to God for it to all work out. I think there are people that lots of things are working because they're working with the laws of the universe, or the
Hmm.
laws of a higher power. For
Hmm.
me personally, I'm not happy, and it's not fulfilling, because all of those things, unless I'm unless I'm connecting and surrender to this higher power. And things are much easier because, I'm not carrying it all on my own. And the resources become much bigger when it's God's resources versus what I've accumulated or acquired or what my limited vision. So that's through my perspective. And if I was teaching anyone, I would say, absolutely, you must. It's my prayer for my children and my children's children, and that they know God and feel that. And I
Mm,
think there are a lot of people who don't have a God that are walking under immense pressure and obstacles and lack of meaning and connection. But
mm.
that's a speculation because I'm not in their brains, right? I'm not in their
The
experience.
Bible talks about them, and I think it was David who was looking at the people who are prospering and is asking God, "Hey, why do the wicked prosper? And I'm here struggling. I'm here trying to move on." But then he went on to commit to God despite whatever is happening around him, the success that is coming from other sources. He stays focused and surrendering to the higher power. Yeah, wow, wow. And thank you very much. I mean, and this episode can be so short. We're almost running out of our time. And we haven't scratched on what we can talk about here. And our episode is titled Live Life, Your Life to the Fullest. We have actually touched on a bit of them, of the way to live your life to the fullest, but maybe you can give us a few ideas, tips, or whatever you may call them, how we
Yeah.
are going to live our life to the fullest.
Yeah. Well, I
Focus
think what
on
we
that.
talked about is pretty powerful because we're talking about the laws of success,
Yeah.
but we're also talking about God. And for me,
Mm,
that it wouldn't, if I didn't say God, and other people have other words, Allah, Yahweh, infinite intelligence, which I think they're two separate things. I think infinite intelligence is part of the laws of God, kind
mm,
of like the internet is an expression of, and the way it operates is an expression of our intelligence, but it's not God, right?
mm,
Google is not God, right? So it's a reflection. I think infinite intelligence and even the laws of the universe are put in order by the highest light, the highest power, God, name above all names, right? And we can try, but so for me to live to the fullest, absolutely having a connection, that is number one. If you're asking
mm,
me, in my
mm,
opinion, that is the truth. And surrendering. But then the second part is, you were designed uniquely and loaded with a design, just like a bird desires to fly because it was designed to fly. You have a unique design and you're called to express and be and move in a way that you've been designed for, and
mm,
finding that alignment and then committing and not waiting for something outside of you to land. Here's what you're here for, setting a vision, going after it, and then resurrendering and asking God, okay, what is it? But I think some people wait. In my 20s, I'd be like, what's my purpose? What's my purpose? What's my purpose? And I let my emotions, symbols, signs throw me all over the place because I wasn't checking in. The kingdom of God is within you, right? So the queendom of God is within you. So we've got to act in some certainty and not let emotions and signs and all that. And we also can't be like, well, it's God's will that I'm poor. It's God's will, because it's not. You look at, God has called to bless and prosper and lead us. So surrendering it is like allowing God to be blamed for your giving up, right? And that's not the answer either, right?
mm,
Well, I guess God just didn't want it. No, you didn't go to counseling. No, you didn't go find a mentor.
mm,
No, you gave up, right? So I'm not into that either. This like whatever God wants, even though I absolutely surrender the vision to God and I release control and I ask God to set my thoughts right, right thinking, right action. Okay, so that's one thing. The other thing is then condition your emotions for success, right?
Mm,
We have to like have the Napoleon Hill gave lay out your definite purpose, say it out loud 3 times a day, go the extra mile. He then gave you actions to take, and no matter, you know, what there is, emotions come, thoughts come, obstacles come, outside things, self-doubt comes, old programming comes. So having habits that remind you, here's my vision, here's what I said I'm up to, having habits of receiving from God, connecting with God, meditating, whatever, in the mornings,
mm,
and then habits of action that are aligned with your vision, and the best next action that you know that align with who you say you're here to be, and
mm,
conditioning that. So, and then keeping your word. You know, in the beginning was the word. Our word is how we co-create in
mm,
here, out there. And so none of us keep our word the way, I'm not going to eat sugar, I'm going to have this many macros, I'm going to call so and so, I'm going to do right. Like there are so many times we give ourselves our word about what we're going to do. I'm going to write a book, I'm going to go to Toastmasters, I'm going to connect with people more, I'm going to call my mom, I'm going to call my children, I'm not going to yell anymore, right? Like, you know what words you're putting out there, and we all fall short at different times, but it's about cleaning it up and then being someone that you can count on to finish what you start, to
mm,
keep your word, and that doesn't give your word unless it's absolutely certain. And when you break your word, you clean it up, you acknowledge it. You know what? I said I was going to start exercising, and it's been a week, right? And I haven't. So, all right, and as you keep your word, no matter what you feel, right? So you
mhm,
have your way of receiving from God, from spirit in the morning, filling your cup, affirming your vision, and then aligning your actions with that vision, and then keep your word. And when
mm,
we do that over time, cosmic habit force, as Napoleon Hill called it, sets in play. And the character emerges. What you do in secret will become apparent. The body you have, the body I have, is based on what I did in secret, what I
mm,
thought of, what I align my actions with, the house I have, the relationship I have, the financial state I have, the state of my relationships with these people who are here with me right now, Joyce, Christine, Carlene, uh, our relationship, all of that is the product of what I've done in secret, and then what I've done with my habits. And
wow,
however the quality is, those, our physical world, are those secret thoughts and actions made manifest. They're our
wow.
most dense thoughts, are what we're moving in. And that's not permanent. We can shift it anytime, but it starts back here, right? Back here at the base.
Wow, this is beautiful. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And actually, Adora, you have so much to tell us. I am thinking that
I talk
you
a lot.
should, yeah,
Yeah,
you should come back sometime soon.
I would love that. I would love
Yes,
that. And
and
Anthony, I got in trouble in school for talking too much, and thankfully, I'm sometimes paid to talk now. Thank
now
you.
you're a blessing to us because you're talking too much. And
Thank
we'd like to hear you even much more. So, what is going to happen is that we're going to end this episode, and you, we'd like, at your pleasure, to always come back here and tell us more. And so, because our time is over for this today's episode, I'm going to let you to end it your best way. Tell us whatever it is you want to tell us, and end it your best way. And then we are hoping to see you sometime in the near future.
Oh, awesome. Yes. So, uh, no pressure there. End it my best way. I'm not sure if I should go costume change or what. No,
We're
I
doing our best for you.
listen. I just, whoever you are, wherever you are, you've absolutely been designed and are totally loved, seen, and there is something you're here to express, people you're here to touch that no one else has been assigned to. You're treasured, you're loved, and go all in on that, because the one life that we'll all be accountable for is the one you were given. How did you care for this life that you were given? How did you care for your mind, your spirit, your body? Were you your number one fan or the worst, sabotaging enemy, right? So we're all going to give account for that. That's your first assignment. Then it's your children, your community. How did you show up? So just please go all in and have be your number one fan, go all in on what you've been gifted and granted, and do it relentlessly, from a place of love and humility. And then I know you're going to drop some links. You're studying with us, Think and Grow Rich, and some of Napoleon Hill's never published before books. We're going to do a monthly, couple times a week meeting up starting in December. Follow me on Facebook if you want to be invited to different free events, live events. We've got one coming up, the Prosperity Camp, that I'll be posting soon with Michael Beckwith and Mark Victor Hansen, and we're going over some of Reverend Ike's material and Napoleon Hill's material. You'll meet and hear from Cleona, our CEO, who is the reason that I even have the opportunity to serve at the Napoleon Hill Institute. She started that institute. And yeah, stay around Anthony, because he's giving you the best people on the planet with the best ideas. I'm teasing.
I'm humbled, and thank you very much for ending the show in such a beautiful way.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna let you go because I know you're quite busy. I wouldn't hold you hostage here. I'm gonna
Thank
let you, and it's good to be busy. And I'm also asking the people to go get busy doing something good.
You're busy.
Get busy doing something good, and live your life to the fullest. Once
Awesome.
again, thank you very much, Adora, for coming to our show. We
Thank
appreciate you.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, for everyone who's watching, please find the links in the comments. Uh, one book cost $1.5 million. Go find out what that book is and why it costs that much. And also connect with Adora. And until next time, this is your host, Anthony Moirore. And we thank Adora for being with us here. Until next time, bye for now. Have a great time.